Morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Friday, June 3rd, 2026. Let's get in the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, the Senate is in a bad place. Number two, Senator Fetterman allows Trump's Pennsylvania judge pick to move forward. And number three, anti-stock trading ads dominate the campaign trail. All right, Jake, the Senate had a very late night, and they're still working
They're still
here.
going right now, yeah.
They spent 18 hours trying to tame a rebellion from within their own ranks that threatened passage of their immigration enforcement funding package. And now they're on track to potentially lose a key procedural vote on reauthorizing a warrantless surveillance program that expires in a week. We're working in real time here, Jake. Usually it's just you and me up talking about what happened many hours ago, but the Senate's having one of their late night votoramas.
I got Andrew and Laura texting me right now. It looks like at this point it's 5:01 a.m. A little late for us to be recording.
It is.
This could screw with my gym time, which would be unfortunate. I was just thinking about that. The Senate is going to defeat, it looks like, the motion to proceed to FISA because of Bill Pulte's nomination or appointment, I guess, not nomination, to be the director of national intelligence on an acting basis. Why? Because Democrats already had misgivings on FISA, and they don't think that Bill Pulte, who is the heir to a house building fortune, with no experience in national defense or security or anything intelligence related, would be a good acting DNI. I talked to Hakeem Jeffries yesterday, and he's just like, he cannot be in this job for 1 minute. We didn't trust this administration when it came to FISA before. We don't trust them now. We don't trust them with this guy in there at all. So they're going to defeat this, it looks like, which is going to cause big problems next week. If I were John Thune, I'd keep him in over the weekend and make him grind this out. But I'm not John Thune. So if I were John Thune, I'd be 6 foot something, and I would be...
You don't even play him on television,
20 years older than I am now.
You'd have a good jump shot, though.
I don't actually know that this is going to fail. It's very close right now. But anyway, it looks like it'll fail, and it's going to be really close in the House as well. So we'll have to see how this goes. They're going to need 60 at some point in the Senate. They're going to need 218 or 216, whatever it ends up being in the House. But equally as importantly, maybe not more importantly, that the Senate did clear a reconciliation bill to fund ICE and CBP until the end of Trump's term. This was despite misgivings about the administration's on-again, off-again plans to create an anti-weaponization fund, Anna. We've talked about this a lot this week with Anthony, who's also been on the pod in your unfortunate absence. It wasn't unfortunate, but it was unfortunate for us. Nothing happened. Anna's okay. She's alive. She's well.
I'm good.
And this will go to the House. The House has left the weekend. They didn't stay in yesterday. They didn't have the votes, not because of the content of the bill, but they had a bunch of absences yesterday, and it wasn't going to get better today. So they sent them home. They're going to deal with this ICE and CBP bill next week, presumably Monday or Tuesday, maybe not on a fly-in day. But a lot of wrangling, Anna.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's important to zoom out here, right? Because it's the dynamics that we're going to see play out from now until the end of the year, which is not only does Trump have problems with Democrats, right, when it comes to key issues and the trust that you just talked about, that is totally lost between Democrats and Republicans, but clearly they're also going to have a lot of challenges with members of their own party. Senator Bill Cassidy, who obviously recently lost his primary thanks to Trump, had to be convinced to oppose Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's amendment so that 3 of his colleagues who will actually be up on the ballot in November in tough races could vote in favor without risking its adoption. This was an amendment related to kind of trying to kill the underlying reconciliation bill by forcing it back to committee with instructions to add language on this weaponization fund. So, I mean, it's important for, I think, people to understand hard things are hard, but they are getting harder in the Senate.
Yeah, it's just, and I said this yesterday on the podcast, I got a bunch of texts on it. It does feel like they're getting punked at all times by this White House. Pulte in the middle of FISA, the weaponization fund, the ballroom, all of this stuff is making life so difficult. This is getting back to the Trump doesn't really understand Congress thing, because
maybe he doesn't understand, he doesn't care.
Doesn't care. And by the way, I don't want to overstate this. It's June. There are 5 months, roughly 152 or something days until Election Day. If Democrats win the House, it's over for Trump. On the legislative front. It's not, his presidency's not over, of course, and he ain't going anywhere. But this is the time to, like, really, and this and the lame duck are the time where you got to just play it safe and get things done.
Or lock in. This is legacy time, right? I mean, when you think about it, this is when you're starting to think about, okay, is there any deal space to do things on housing, on crypto, on permitting reform, right? I mean, there's no shortage of a backlog of legislative things that have not gotten done so far that unless there is the ability to find a way, not only, I mean, really with just Republicans in their own party wanting to support this president, I mean, it's going to be a lot of battles and probably not a lot of success going forward for the Trump administration when it comes to legislative deal making.
Yeah, and listen, it does, by the way, at this point, I'm giving this to you in real time. It does look like this FISA vote's going to go down. So they're going to have to regroup next week. I don't know what they're going to do. Trump might have to nominate somebody for DNI who is somewhat qualified before they do this and move Pulte out of there. Now, that would be a hit to his pride, but we're just dealing with the real possibility that FISA could go dark, and that's not something that most people want. So, I'll just say that is going to be the big story over this weekend and into next week. Trump is on Meet the Press this Sunday, so I don't know when he's taping that, but that will be something I would hope that they would ask to try to get some clarity on that. I'll say this before we go into the break, Anna. We had Ted Cruz yesterday in a one-on-one edition of Fly Out Day, and I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if you've watched it yet, I said, Anna's gone, so we have an episode purely on college sports.
I mean, I go away for work for a couple of days, and what happens?
But it was a great episode on, and Cruz really went deep on his bipartisan bill on college sports, on NIL and restructuring college sports. This is a massive issue for Congress, the NCAA. You and I have talked about this with Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, former governor of Massachusetts. Congress needs to step in to rein in what has become an out of control college sports climate. One of the biggest industries in America, billions and billions of dollars behind it. And Cruz and Maria Cantwell have a bill. I don't know that it's going anywhere. I don't think it is, but it's still a fascinating discussion on the dynamics in one of America's greatest pastimes.
All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 2 story of the morning. We've got some news here. Senator John Fetterman, the Democrat from Pennsylvania, is allowing President Donald Trump's nomination of a federal judge in Pennsylvania to move forward, waiving his right to block the selection. It's the first time in Trump's second term that a Senate Democrat has turned in a blue slip for one of Trump's judicial picks. The move is already setting off yet another battle between Fetterman and his numerous critics on the left who demand unyielding opposition to Trump, particularly on lifetime appointments to the federal bench. This is an interesting dynamic, right? We have seen over and over again, Jake, the Trump administration's frustration with blue slips, which is a procedure where senators can block federal judge appointments in their state.
Yeah. So this is Antonio Pozos, who is obviously a lawyer who Trump would like to be a judge, graduate of Harvard and University of Michigan Law School. So somebody in a previous time, Anna, who might actually just be like confirmed pretty easily. Blue slips, as you said, is a process by which a home state senator can block a judge from being considered in the Senate and being confirmed. Pennsylvania is one of the states that has a Republican, obviously has a judicial vacancy, and has a Republican and Democratic senator. Republican senator, obviously, being Dave McCormick from Pennsylvania, obviously, and John Fetterman, the Democrat. This is kind of not a middle finger to the Democrats from Fetterman, but it's certainly something that is going to be controversial with Senate Democrats because they have the ability to block these judges, and many of them have done that. Blue slips actually have been something that Trump wanted to get rid of for a long time. I don't think this undermines the argument, but it certainly complicates the argument. And to that end, Demand Justice, which is a big liberal group, is planning a 6-figure ad buy in Pennsylvania attacking Fetterman for his decision not to veto the Pozos nomination. So this is very interesting. There's also another judge, Michael Martin, in the Eastern District of Michigan. Michigan having 2 Democratic senators, Gary Peters and Alyssa Slotkin, and we'll have to see what happens there. That could be blocked quite easily. So anyhow, this is
But also,
sorry,
Jake, no, I just want to say, no, I'm interrupting you. I'm back, Jake. You're welcome. Happy Friday. No, I mean, I just think it's important to note here, in context of Fetterman, this is just another thing, a notch
That's right.
in the number of things that the progressive left is frustrated with the Pennsylvania Democrat on, vocal supporter of Israel in Congress. He's criticized fellow Democrats that they've been more willing to oppose Israel's war in Gaza. I mean, Fetterman and the Democratic Party are at odds quite a bit on certain things. And I think just this stokes another kind of question of, I'm sure, a round of debate and parlor games of people, at dinner parties in Washington over the weekend. Is Fetterman, going to stay a Democrat, or does he move to be an independent or join the Republican Party? I don't think that necessarily happens. I'm just
Not
saying
me
I
either.
think that this, again, continues to have another question point about, like, where is Fetterman and his politics vis-a-vis the rest of the party?
I just think Fetterman doesn't run again, but what the hell do I know? Anyway, we don't have to get into that.
All right, let's move on to the number 3 story of the morning. Ad Watch, in an effort to capitalize on voter concerns about self-serving politicians, Republican and Democratic candidates are increasingly campaigning on banning stock trading by members of Congress across the country. Candidates are running ads pledging to root out corruption in D.C. by pushing bills to ban insider trading, while legislative efforts to ban members and their families from stock trading have stalled. The campaign efforts aren't letting up. I think makes sense.
This is one of the issues that's like a 90-10 issue that the House and the Senate have not acted on. Banning stock trading has been an issue for a long time. Nancy Pelosi said she was going to do it. Kevin McCarthy said he was going to do it. Mike Johnson has been the closest. He has a bill by his House admin chair, Brian Stile of Wisconsin, to do it. There are complications here. I don't mean to say this is an easy thing. There are a lot of complications. People have kids that trade stocks. People have spouses, wives, or husbands who are involved in stock trading as a job. So there are a lot of complications. There are closely held businesses. People are compensated in stock. There's lots of things, but we've had a proliferation of people trading stocks as members of Congress. And let's actually take the most innocent explanation here. People are trading stocks and they're not actually themselves trading it, but their stockbrokers trading it, or their whatever is trading it. And by the way, FISA failed, but it still is bad optically. But across the country, Georgia, Nebraska, New Jersey, Max got this idea when he was on the road for us in Iowa last week, when Ashley Hinson said she's fighting to ban stock trading. Josh Turek, the Democrat who's running against Hinson, saying that Hinson is 10 times more wealthy than she was when she went to Congress. Anyway, so this is it's a fascinating angle. It's a great item. And also we have a great item in AM this morning on the NDAA and what there was a markup yesterday in House Armed Services, and what our takeaways from that are. Some big issues. You should definitely check it out by our great team of Brianna and Anthony.
All right, we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. I'm happy to be back.
I'm happy you're back.
If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media, tell your friends. And also, we really appreciate it if you go to punchbowl.news, check out the stories that we talk about every morning. It is the best way to go a little bit deeper and understand even more from our great reporters. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.